Hello and welcome to Defense Diaries. I'm your host, Bob Mata, and this is our new coverage of a new case, which is the tragic disappearance and likely unaliving of Suzanne Simpson down in Olmos Park, which is a suburb of San Antonio. So, as you guys know, I've been very, very deep into Delphi. I'm obviously not done covering that, but like I said in yesterday's live, got to keep moving. There's a lot of stuff going on in the true crime world, and to me, this was a heartbreaking, another just senseless, tragic disappearance, and I just it's one of those things that you can't really wrap your mind around. There's so many other options available other than what appears to be what happened here with Susan Simpson. So what I'd like to do tonight, I'm going to give you guys kind of a little bit of a background. The first thing I'm going to pull is a little bit of a timeline from my San Antonio guy named Zachary Taylor Wright wrote this. I wouldn't call it in depth, but it gives us a little bit of background before we jump into what is very in depth, which is the affidavit that was attached to the probable cause for the arrest warrant of Brad Simpson, who is Suzanne Clark Simpson's husband. Suzanne was 53, mother of four, just an absolutely beautiful woman. They had a beautiful family. And I'm going to pull a picture of the family up so you could see them in presumably better times. Can't be guaranteed that it was better times. It sounds like it was a pretty rough time for most of the time with respect to Susan and her husband Brad, and we'll start digging into it. So, kind of the way it breaks down is that Susan, and obviously that's Susan here in the middle. Blow that up a little bit so you can see. So this is kind of what we have going on. On or around October 6th is when things started to go awry. And at this point, where we're at in the investigation is that Brad's been arrested, this time for murder. And when I say this time, you'll understand when we get into the affidavit. They had arrested him on a couple of other charges after the arrest warrant for the murder was signed by the judge. They dropped the two other charges because obviously this charge would supersede those and is clearly going to trump any other charges that may have been initially charged by law enforcement. So she was last seen on Sunday, which was October 6th, in early October. And at that point, by the 8th, Brad Simpson was charged with a couple of state charges he had a lot of stuff going on. When we started digging into this case, he had all kinds of issues happening with him. Sounds like inside and outside of the marriage. Tonight, we're going to just scratch the surface. We're just going to kind of get into the nuts and bolts of it before we really start digging into this thing. Um, so I'm going to kind of skip this part. I'm going to go right to the. So this is kind of the timeline that this my San Antonio put out for us. So October 6th, Susan Simpson last seen allegedly assaulted by Brad Simpson. On the night of October 6th, they were at a party in an exclusive Alamo Heights club called the Argyle. There, a family friend reported seeing an altercation between Brad and Susan Simpson. The couple's daughter would later report that her father hit her mother in the face and slammed her up against the wall. Guy already sounds like a nightmare. A fight clearly broke out between the two, according to the latest arrest warrant of Brad Simpson, which suggests he became jealous and took Suzanne's phone before driving off. He returned when he couldn't unlock the device without her passcode. Suzanne made several calls that night, including to her mother and a family friend, before Brad Simpson reportedly had his wife's cell service disconnected. So that's who we're dealing with. You could tell already we got a coercive control, narcissistic, just super creep who's controlling Susan in every single way possible. And I imagine that that was going on probably for the bulk, if not all, of the marriage. So Suzanne allegedly called her mother to say that her husband had assaulted her, causing her pain in her back, arm, and neck. She then arrived at a family's friend house at around 9:25 p.m. It's unclear when she left the home of the friend, as her cell service was cut short shortly after arriving at the behest of Brad Simpson. However, her 15-year-old daughter showed investigators a screenshot of a Find My iPhone used by the family to see each other's whereabouts, which showed Susan Simpson's phone last tracked at the family home in Olmos Park. The next time anyone saw Susan would be the last. A neighbor told investigators he saw Brad Simpson physically assault his wife. When the neighbor lost sight of them, he grabbed a flashlight and went to go look for them. Once outside, the neighbor heard several screams from a wooded area near the couple's home. Oh my God. Which he believed to be Susan Simpson. Brad Simpson was seen leaving in his 2019 GMC pickup truck shortly after and wouldn't return home for several hours. October 7, Brad Simpson's suspicious actions after his wife's disappearance. So nobody will report Suzanne Simpson missing for nearly 24 hours after she was last seen struggling with her husband, Brad Simpson. According to the husband's arrest warrant for murder, a friend called him the Monday after Suzanne Simpson was last seen to let him know that she'd be calling the police to report her missing. So that's the next day. It's kind of poorly written there. A group of friends that had met that Monday to discuss their disappearance or her disappearance. This appears to have inspired Brad to notify the police as he called shortly thereafter. The friend reported Suzanne missing. The husband initially told investigators that he was reporting her missing 6 hours after she failed to pick up the daughter from school. A suspicious claim, considering that he dropped their 5-year-old daughter off that very morning, which was usually done by, of course, Suzanne. Simpson reported that he had not heard from his wife since Sunday. And Brad Simpson said that he had seen his wife the morning of Monday as he was leaving to drop off his child to school. He said he peeked into the separate bedroom. So it sounds like they weren't even at this point sleeping in the same room. Like that tells you where this marriage is, right? You can obviously, she's mortified of this guy. This guy's a monster. She feels trapped in there, which is so tragic. Or she's trying to brave it out for the kids, which This happens far too often. This contradicts his statement. Oh, he said when he peeked into the separate room and he observed his wife asleep. This contradicts his statement about not seeing his wife when he initially spoke to officers. Then Simpson took a strange set of trips between San Antonio, Bourne, and that's Borne, and Bandera. Simpson began cycling his cell phone on and off, a tactic which investigators say is used to deter device tracking. However, a combination of cell and vehicle tracking, surveillance footage, and firsthand accounts allowed detectives to track his whereabouts in the days after Suzanne Clark Simpson's disappearance. So this starts getting into it. Okay, so on October 8th, and this is covered in the warrant, in the probable cause affidavit as well. So according to an arrest warrant served to Brad Simpson in jail on Tuesday, October 22nd, the husband and father reportedly reached out to longtime business partner James V. Cotter on October 8th, asking for help to hide a weapon. Cotter, son of the now deceased San Antonio real estate tycoon James F. Cotter, had faced legal troubles alongside Brad in their span of business ventures together. That's what I was talking about. He's got all kinds of stuff going on. This guy was on the edge. So the text said, "If you're in Bandera, can you haul your ass and meet me at your house?" Brad Simpson reported texted Cotter, according to the arrest warrant. He says, "Okay, make sure you leave all that shit in the pump house, especially the gun." The warrant's collection of texts from Brad Simpson to Cotter continues. "Sorry for the urgency, but you're all I've got, especially now. Social media is destroying me." Yeah. So I wonder why. I wonder why social media is destroying you. Several hours after the initial text from Brad Simpson, which Cotter received around 4:30 p.m., October 8, Cotter responded to the murder suspect saying, "Get over here. I won't tell anyone." Investigators say that Cotter helped conceal an AK-47 from a walk-in vault stocked with weapons in the Simpson home. They found the weapon in a hollowed out area behind the television in Cotter's home. Cotter was arrested on felony charges of tampering with evidence and illegal possession of a weapon. What a scumbag. Like, who helps who helps a buddy like cover up the murder of their wife? Man, there is just no explanation for people, like, for real. All right, so uh I think I'm about done reading this thing. Like, the writing's so bad, I can't stomach it. So what I want to do, I'm gonna let's get to the legal writing, and I'm gonna throw up pictures of Suzanne. Let's take another peek, another picture of Suzanne. She was such a beautiful woman. Looked to be an amazing mother, just an amazing human being in general. Just don't get it. Just don't get it. So there she is. All right. So while I was knee deep in Delphi, this arrest warrant and the accompanying affidavit for arrest warrant were filed back on November 7th. So um, it's pretty thorough. This is the kind of affidavit you want to see in terms of building a case. This is the kind of affidavit where you feel pretty confident based on the amount of evidence that they have been able to collect in a very short period of time, that this guy clearly did this. So, I mean, there's always the presumption of innocence, but like in my leaning scale, we all know where I fall on Richard Allen's affidavit, the probable cause affidavit. I felt that leaned innocent. This leans heavy guilty. So, I mean, we have to wait till trial, but looks like they have a pretty rock solid case to me. All right, so let's pull it up, start going through it, and see what they were able to dig up on this guy. All right. Share it. Should we quit defaulting to the circle? I decided I hate the circle. Hate the circle. The circle's no good. All right. Let's get this guy opened up here. Close this guy down here. All right. Let's share it. I'd like to make it big enough for y'all to be able to read it along with me. So, all right, hold on. Forgot to do something. You guys are gonna hate me for this. Got to do it though. Got to turn on all my ads. Sorry, guys. All right, I'll put them on. I'll put them on like super low key. Like it gives us an option where they put them in automatic. I'll put them in conservative so that you guys aren't inundated with ads because I hear that they're pretty brutal sometimes. So, all right, cool. All right, let's rock and roll. All right, so let's get started with this thing. So, the underside affidavit, detective or affiant detective Hector Ruiz, badge number 323, being a peace officer under the laws of the state of Texas and being duly sworn on oath, makes the following statements and accusations. A victim in this case has been identified as Suzanne Clark Simpson, date of birth, June, we don't need to give her date of birth, but 1973, hereinafter referred to as the victim. An actor in this case has been identified as Brad Chandler Simpson, date of birth December 30th, 1970. I have no problem giving his birth date. Hereinafter referred to as the defendant. Said defendant is further identified in the San Antonio Police Department computer files under SID 120-3162. It is the belief of your affiant that the offense of section 19.02, murder, was committed on or about the 6th day of October of 2024 in Bexar County, Texas. Am I saying Bexar right? Mandy? Mandy will know. Your affiant has probable cause for said belief by reason of the following facts. Being duly sworn in oath makes the following statements and accusation. That the undersigned was a peace officer under the laws of the state of Texas, that he has been a certified peace officer since 1987. The affiant is currently assigned as a lieutenant for the Olmos Police Department in the Criminal Investigations Division. Your affiant has over 4,000 record training hours with the Texas Commission of Law Enforcement. Affiant has received extensive training and experience in the field of criminal investigation, which includes crimes against people. These criminal investigations include the offenses of assault, aggravated assault, sexual assault, robbery, and red rum. Affiant has been assisted during this investigation by the Texas Department of Public Safety, Texas Rangers Division. Texas Rangers routinely assist local, state, and federal agencies with major and special investigations. On 10/7 of 24, the Olmos Park Police Department was dispatched to blank Olmos Park, Bexar County, 78212, for a report of a missing person. This investigation was documented under case number 24-0328-280. Your affiant was assigned to the investigation on 10/8 of 24 as the lead criminal investigator. A victim in this case has been identified as Suzanne Clark Simpson. So an actor in this case was identified as Brad Chandler Simpson, date of birth December 30th, 1970, white male, 53 years old, henceforth called defendant. Said defendant is further identified in Bexar County jail records as SO 120-3162. It is the belief of your affiant that the offense of murder under Texas Penal Code section 19.02 was committed on or about October 6th of 2024 in Olmos Park, Bexar County, Texas. So your affiant has probable cause for said belief by reason of the following facts. I'll try to make this a little bigger for y'all so you guys can see it. That's better, right? Yeah. Okay, so your affiant received information from Officer Jared Tubbs, badge number or star number 326, a Texas certified peace officer, who told me that he learned from blank, a credible and reliable person, that friends of Suzanne Simpson met to discuss her disappearance on the evening of 10/7 of 2024. Blank called the defendant on 10/7 of 2024 with her concerns about Suzanne Simpson's disappearance. Defendant had not called the police nor 911. Blank informed the defendant that she was going to call the police. Your affiant learned from the Alamo Heights dispatch that Sunny Woods initially contacted police. So they blank it out and then oopsies. Initially contacted police on 10/7 of 24 at 9:57 p.m. to report Suzanne Simpson missing. Your affiant later learned from Olmos Park Police Chief Fidel Villegas that the defendant called at 10:11 p.m. and left a voicemail for Chief Villegas after witness reported Suzanne missing. Sergeant Campbell told your affiant that the initial reporting officer stated that upon contacting the defendant, this is key, this is where the lies start. While contacting the defendant at his residence, the defendant reported that he had not heard from his wife, Suzanne Clark Simpson, since Sunday, 10/6/24 at 11 p.m. So remember that, because it's like, it's that thing. Tell the truth. There's nothing to remember because you're not trying to remember lies. When you start lying, they're really, really hard to keep track of. Really, really hard to keep track of. So on 10/8 of 24, your affiant spoke to Officer Christopher Maldonado, star number 342, and Officer Antonio Davia, and that's star number 341, both Texas certified peace officers. Both officers provided information regarding the missing female identified as Suzanne Clark Simpson. Officer Maldonado stated that he had been in contact with blank or witness, a friend of Suzanne Simpson, throughout the night and gathered information for his report. Paragraph 4, during the investigation, your affiant received information from Jared Tubbs, star number 326, that he had obtained information from Howard Early Child Care Center or Childhood Center located at 7800 Broadway, San Antonio, Bexar County, Texas. The information is as follows. The school counselor, witness, spoke to Officer Tubbs and relayed that the 5-year-old child of the missing person, Suzanne Simpson, stated that on Sunday evening, 10/6 of 2024, her dad, the defendant, had pushed her mother against the wall, hit her mother on the face, and hurt her mother's elbow inside the residence. What a piece of shit, man. According to the child, defendant also turned off her mother's phone because they were fighting. 5, your affiant later reviewed body cam footage from the initial report at the Simpson residence. Your affiant observed the defendant claim that Susan Simpson lost her cell phone while at a local HEB prior to coming home on the evening of 10/6/24. Sure, pal. Sure. On 10/8 of 2024 at approximately 9 a.m., your affiant listened to a phone conversation that occurred between the Olmos Park Police Chief Fidel Villegas and the defendant. Your affiant notes that the defendant said that he had seen his wife the morning of Monday, 10/7 of 24, at approximately 6:30 a.m. as he was leaving to drop off his child at school. Oops. Defendant stated he peeked into a separate room and observed his wife asleep. This contradicts his statement about not seeing his wife when he initially spoke to patrol officers Maldonado and Davia on the night of 10/7 of 24. Paragraph 7. On 10/8 of 24, your affiant spoke with the Company F Texas Ranger, Jesse L. Perez, who is a certified peace officer. Texas Ranger Perez is assisting in this investigation. Texas Ranger Perez told me that he spoke with blank witness, a credible and reliable person, and stated that she witnessed the defendant and Suzanne Simpson engaged in a verbal altercation while at a party at the Argyle, located at 934 Patterson Avenue, Alamo Heights, Bexar County, Texas, on the evening of 10/6 of 24. Your affiant also learned from Officer Tubbs that the Simpsons attended the party at the Argyle Club. Paragraph 8. Through interviews and information obtained from other officers, your affiant determined that on the evening of 10/6 of 24, Suzanne Simpson and her 5-year-old daughter left the party at approximately 8:30 at the Argyle and went to the HEB at 300 West Almos Drive, San Antonio, Texas. They were there from 8:40 to 8:51, according to video surveillance footage from the HEB. Your affiant believes that Suzanne Simpson and her daughter arrived at her residence shortly thereafter. Your affiant learned from the Texas Department of Public Safety criminal analysts that upon receiving the call detail records for Suzanne Simpson's cellular service, they observed the following on 10/6 of 24. At 9:15 p.m., Suzanne Simpson called family friend blank to say that she was coming over. Your affiant reviewed a surveillance video from the Alamo Heights Police Department, which shows Suzanne Simpson's vehicle arriving at blank's residence at approximately 9:25. Man, man. At 9:16, Suzanne Simpson called her mother to report the defendant had just assaulted her, causing her pain to her arm, back, and neck. The duration of the phone call was from 9:16 to 9:24. You could be guaranteed that her mother was telling her not to go back to that house, as I'm sure that her friend told her not to go back to that house. And her, being a mother and a mama bear, said that I'm not leaving my kids in the home with that guy alone. Like, I can guarantee how this thing went, right? I mean, it's your affiant later learned from Suzanne Simpson's cell phone carrier that her device was suspended on 10/6 of 24 at approximately 9:16 p.m. at the request of the subscriber. A review of the defendant's phone records indicate that defendant accessed the AT&T application at the same time that Suzanne Simpson's service was suspended. This guy's like suspending her service. What a what a controlling nightmare. This this guy. Like, is this guy going to plead out? Now, this is a guy who should plead out. You guys think this guy will plead out? I'll ask you again when we get through this whole affidavit. This is a dude who better plead out. I mean, this is all right. So your affiant learned later that from Suzanne Simpson's cell phone carrier that her device was suspended on 10/6/24 at approximately 9:16 p.m. at the request of the subscriber. How did she get the call? I wonder how she got the call out. It said that the duration of the phone call was from 9:16 to 9:24. Maybe they'll explain that. See that up above, 9:16, calls her mom. Duration of that call is from 9:16 to 9:24. He then calls the service and suspends her service at 9:16 at the request of the subscriber. A review of the defendant's phone indicates that the defendant accessed the AT&T application at the same time that Suzanne Simpson's service was suspended. This contradicts the defendant's initial statements about Suzanne Simpson losing her phone on 10/6 of 2024. I mean, what a moron. This guy doesn't realize there's phone records, just making up stupid shit. Like, really? Like, that's his move. Oh yeah, she lost her phone. Okay, well, we're gonna get her phone records. We're gonna see if she was making phone calls, buddy. Ugh. So on 10/8 of 24, your affiant spoke with Chandler Suzanne Simpson, a credible and reliable person, and the 20-year-old daughter of the defendant and Suzanne Simpson. She stated that she was reviewing her Apple iPhone's Find My application that shares time and location data of a connected device to members of a group. She stated that the Simpson family, including her mother, Suzanne Simpson, and Chandler's siblings, use this application and can see each other's phone locations. Chandler stated that the last location of Suzanne Simpson's iPhone listed on her application was at their home residence of 520 East Olmos Drive, Olmos Park, Bexar County, Texas, on Sunday, 10/6 of 2024. They're not great at redacting. I'm going to have to say this about when they're prepping this thing, you know, they can't wait to serve it. Like, he's in jail already when they serve him with this, but still, they can't wait to serve this thing on this guy. They just couldn't. Walked right back to his cell, handed it right to him, said, "There you go, buddy. How you like them apples?" But Up top, they had the address, their home address had been uh, redacted. We had the one witness who was initially redacted, and then they forget to redact it in one place. These people are all helpful. So, and obviously, you know, if I would have seen it, I probably would have redacted it myself. I mean, people don't need to be knowing people's addresses. So, 10/6 of 24 at 10:22 p.m., Chandler Simpson showed Affiant the screenshot of the Find My Phone application, which documented the location of Suzanne Simpson's iPhone's last known connection or location. On 10/8 of 24, your affiant conducted a non-custodial interview on blank, who resides. He's a neighbor, obviously. I don't know why they're putting the neighbor's address on there. Directly across the street from the Simpson residence. Your affiant determined that blank was found to be credible and reliable. He stated that he witnessed the defendant and Susan Simpson loudly arguing after 10 p.m. on Sunday, 10/6 of 24, in the front yard of his residence. Guy can't even wait to argue with his wife until he gets into it. This guy, I mean, there's probably not many people I hate more than Adam Montgomery in this world. But this dude is like, he's like, what's his face in Massachusetts? It's like the Brian Walsh. It's like, it seems like the identical story, doesn't it? Identical story. It's a story we just hear way too often. Just way, way too often. um, so he says that he saw that the defendant and Suzanne Simpson physically struggling with each other, stated that Suzanne Simpson broke free from the defendant's grasp and ran away from the defendant in a westerly direction. Witness stated the defendant started running after Suzanne Simpson and was trying to grab her. Witness stated that he later lost sight of them as he exited his yard. Witness stated that he went inside the house to get a flashlight and came back outside. Witness told me that he later heard screams coming from the wooded area across from his home. Witness stated that approximately 1 hour later, he heard the defendant's truck start up and depart the area. Witness stated that he heard the defendant's truck return approximately 1 hour later. Very, very good comment, Mandy. Your affiant later, paragraph 12, learned from Texas Department of Public Safety criminal analyst and Federal Bureau of Investigation forensic examiners the following. The defendant intentionally engaged in a series of on and off cycles to include complete shutdowns of his cellular device, preventing data collection beginning from 10/6 of 24 at approximately 11:09 through 10:07 of 24. See how they're using the feds for the phone data stuff here? Good police work. 13, FBI forensic examiners advised your affiant that the defendant shut down his phone in a manner rarely seen, referred to as lockdown mode. I've never even heard of that mode. You guys heard of that mode? I've never heard of it. FBI forensic examiners define lockdown as the shutdown of a cell phone done by a person who wants to avoid detection. Is that different than just powering it down? I don't know. On 10/11 of 24, your affiant learned from Texas Ranger Perez that he obtained and reviewed location data from both the defendant's cell phone and his vehicle, the black 2019 GMC Sierra truck, Texas license plate MD or MWD 7050. Your affiant noted that this is the same vehicle that the defendant was driving during the time frame that Suzanne Simpson went missing. Paragraph 15. On that same date of 10/11 of 24, your affiant learned from Texas Ranger Perez that he had obtained surveillance video from the Howard Early Childhood Center located at 7800 Broadway, San Antonio, Bexar County, Texas. Your affiant later reviewed these videos with Texas Ranger Perez and observed that on 10/7 of 24 at approximately 7:53 a.m., the defendant's vehicle, that black 2019 GMC Sierra, was observed at the school dropping off his 5-year-old daughter. Upon further review of the video, Your affiant observed the defendant's truck bed contained at least two white trash bags with red strings and what appeared to be a large ice chest. On 10/12/24, your affiant learned from Texas Ranger Perez that he obtained surveillance video from the HEB located at 300 West Olmos Drive, San Antonio. Texas Ranger Perez told your affiant that the defendant and his truck were observed on the surveillance footage. Your affiant observed that on 10/7, at approximately 12:33 a.m., the defendant's truck bed is clear of any cargo at this time besides a large ice chest. On 10/14 of 2024, your affiant learned from the Texas Ranger Perez that on 10/7 at approximately 9:12 a.m., the defendant's vehicle, the 2019 Sierra, was seen on the drive-through camera at the Whataburger located at 1621 West Bandera Road in Bourne, Kendall County, Texas. Your affiant learned via financial records the defendant purchased food items at this location via his debit card. Upon reviewing the video, your affiant observed the following items in the defendant's truck bed: three white trash bags, a large gray heavy duty trash can, an ice chest, and a large bulky item that was secured in a blue tarp with a silver in color metal firewood rack placed upon the top of the blue tarp in a manner to conceal and weigh the tarp down. Upon further observation of the blue tarp, your affiant believes that there is an unknown object concealed within the blue tarp due to its shape and size, and it being secured by a strap/pole or rope. Sorry. In your affiant's training and experience and past investigations, your affiant is aware that criminals will commonly conceal, transport, or disguise their victims in a manner described above to purposely avoid detection by law enforcement. Yeah, the days of dudes like this getting away with stuff like this are long gone. They're long gone. We are way, way too much on the grid these days. I mean, we're not like London, England style, where they've got like the whole city is like completely camered up. They've got that closed caption stuff or the whatever they call those cameras. They're everywhere. Like anywhere you look, they're all over the place in London. So your affiant learned from Texas Ranger Perez that the cell phone geolocation data showed the defendant at or near a Home Depot located at 633 West Bandera Road in Texas. Your affiant and Texas Ranger Perez reviewed video surveillance from 10/7 at 9:53 a.m., capturing the defendant purchasing two bags of Quickcrete cement, an orange Home Depot construction bucket with a lid, and a box of 32 count heavy duty trash bags, one bottle of 30-ounce Clorox disinfectant spray, and insect repellent. Aw, he didn't want to get bug bites, y'all. He didn't want to get bug bites when he was out and wherever he was disposing of his wife's body. Wow. Your affiant learned that the defendant purchased these items via a cash transaction. Your affiant later observed a copy of a Home Depot receipt that documented the purchases of these items by the defendant. These are the kind of things that you expect to see in an affidavit. These kind of facts, this kind of police work. I mean, they got this dude on lock. So your affiant learned from the Texas Ranger Perez with the assistance of the FBI that they located an unknown male in the Home Depot parking lot that was observed speaking with the defendant prior to his purchase on 10/7 of 2024. Your affiant learned that this unknown male was identified as Witness. Your affiant learned from the Texas Rangers that during an interview with Witness, he confirmed the defendant randomly came up to him in the parking lot asking for directions to the nearest dump in Bourne. Am I saying that right, Mandy? Bourne? I'm waiting for an answer, Mandy. I'm waiting for an answer. Your affiant, Bernie? Bernie. All right. Really? Wow. I never would have known that. Thank you guys. It's a good thing we got some Texas folks in here to correct my butchering of Texas towns. But if we're looking at that thing phonetically, come on, dude. Who would read that as Bernie? I don't think so. All right, your affiant learned from Texas Rangers that blank provided directions to the Kendall County solid waste site located at 46 Spanish Pass Road, Bernie, Kendall County, Texas, using blank cellular device and not the defendant's cellular device. So dude says, "Hey man, where's the nearest dump? Oh, can I look at your phone to get the directions?" So wow, he's super slick now, isn't he? Wait, Bexar is Bear? Oh, that's right. Jay and I definitely did a case down in Bexar before, and we were both very upset that the X is silent. Like, where do y'all Texas people? Do we just call Texas like Texas Tejas? Like y'all don't pronounce X's down there? Like I don't understand what's going on. Bear, bear. Thanks, Pammy. All right, I'll get him. I'll get him soon enough. I'll get him soon enough. Uh, Bernie and Bayer. Okay. I got those two at least down. Am I pronouncing Olmos Park right though? It's got to be that. That has to be right. Right? I hope. Okay. Cellular device. So he uses dude's cellular device. And the affiant notes that during the time the defendant intentionally shuts off his cellular device, your affiant learned from the Texas Department of Public Safety criminal analyst that the defendant's vehicle, a black 2019 GMC Sierra truck, was captured via a license plate reader, Flock, at 10:07 a.m. at the Home Depot after the Home Depot transaction. Your affiant observed this photograph, which clearly shows that the same items observed in the Whataburger surveillance camera from a different vantage point. Your affiant notes that the box of trash bags the defendant purchased appears to be in the truck bed as well. Your affiant notes that the defendant intentionally, once again, enters into an on-off cycle of his cellular device to include a lockdown mode after departing Home Depot and speaking with witness. 20. Your affiant learned from the Texas Department of Public Safety criminal analyst that vehicle location data obtained from the defendant's vehicle, the GMC truck, the black GMC truck, captured his vehicle on 10/7 of 2024 near the Kendall County solid waste site located at 46 Spanish Pass Road, Bernie, Kendall County, Texas. Your affiant learned that the surveillance video from a nearby business in the area of the waste site captured the defendant's vehicle driving away from the waste site. Now, how many people are going to come watch this video after the fact for like the first mispronunciations in the beginning? They'll be like, they're gonna leave comments, which I don't mind because it gets it in the algorithm, but like you're pronouncing the names wrong. Like people always like to do that. Oh yeah. Don't like with both Louisiana and frankly Pennsylvania has some very, very challenging street names. Most of them seem to be indigenous in nature that are tough to like I can say Chapatulas. How about that? That's that is a very intimidating word when you look at it. Street name, Chapatulas. Okay, so your affiant learned that the surveillance video from a nearby business in the area of the waste site captured the defendant's vehicle driving away from the waste site. So as you can imagine, there was a massive search going on at that waste site looking for Suzanne's remains. As of today, they still have not located her remains. It's like it's really like the Brian Walsh thing. It's like eerily similar set of circumstances. Paragraph 21, your affiant learned from the Texas Ranger Perez that defendant's vehicle, the black GMC truck, was later observed at the Valero Stripes gas station located at Johns Road at 37101 Frontage Road, Bernie, Kendall County, Texas, on 10/7/24 at 11:15 a.m. So originally when we were going to do this, when I told Mandy and dizzy that I wanted to do this today. I had wanted to get like the map done with all of the locations and when he's there. So we're gonna work on that. I had other things going on, so I didn't get to do that. And I was trying to figure out like if AI could figure it out for me. And me trying to figure out AI, as you guys can imagine, it's not pretty. It's it's not pretty. It's not a pretty thing. Um, so your affiants note that the defendant arrived at this gas station after departing the wayside. Your affiant observed a surveillance video of the defendant utilizing his debit card to purchase gasoline for the truck. The defendant later purchased two 1 gallon jugs of water via a cash transaction. Gee, I wonder if that's for the quickcrete cement. Your affiant notes that upon further review of the surveillance video, the white trash bags are now missing from the defendant's truck bed, but the blue tarp, the firewood rack, and the trash can are still present. Your affiant notes that upon further review of the surveillance footage, the defendant changed footwear from black in colored men's sandals into dark colored cowboy styled boots. 22. Your affiant learned from the Texas Ranger Perez upon further review of the defendant's vehicle, location data captured the defendant traveling westbound through Bandera County, Texas, into Medina, Bandera County, Texas. Your affiant notes that the defendant intentionally, once again, entered an on-off cycle of his cellular device while traveling towards Medina, Bandera County, Texas. Your affiant learned from Texas Ranger Perez that he was told by Company F Texas Ranger Daniel McMillan that he was able to obtain surveillance footage which showed the defendant's vehicle in Medina, Bandera County, Texas on 10/7 of 24. Your affiant learned from the Texas Ranger Perez that he was advised by Texas Ranger McMillan that the defendant's vehicle remained in the Medina, Bandera County, Texas area for approximately 13 minutes prior to heading eastbound into Kendall County, Texas. Your affiant learned from the Texas Department of Public Safety criminal analyst that the defendant's vehicle was captured via a license plate reader flock on 10/7 of 24 at 1:41 p.m., entering the Bernie, Kendall County, Texas area from Bandera County, Texas. Your affiant notes upon further observation that the blue tarp is no longer visible and the firewood rack is now repositioned within the truck bed. All right, so there we go. I mean, like that's got to narrow it down, right? I mean, it's got to narrow it down. I mean, it seems like they're gonna figure it out. I hope they figure it out. I mean, there can only be so many places. And I'm talking about where he disposed of his wife. Your affiant learned from the Texas Ranger Perez that upon further review of surveillance footage from 10/7 of 24 at the Howard Early Childhood Center, the defendant was observed picking up his daughter at approximately 3:27 p.m. What a sociopath. The defendant's vehicle, like how can you operate as a normal human being, like pretending that like nothing like this is going on? I can't compute it. It does not make any sense to me. Like it's just so foreign a concept to me that it's like really just it's unbelievable. People are so warped. People are just so warped. The truck bed was clear of a blue tarp and the metal firewood rack. The defendant's truck bed had the ice chest and the large gray heavy duty trash can, which are both visible at that time. 26, your affiant learned from the Texas Ranger Perez, the Texas Department of Public Safety Criminal Investigations Division special agents obtained information the defendant was a member of the Bubble Bath Car Wash. Your affiant learned from Texas Ranger Perez that on 10/7 of 24 at approximately 4:07 p.m., the defendant and his vehicle, the black 2019 GMC Sierra, are observed on surveillance cameras at the Bubble Bath Car Wash, located at 7102 San Pedro Avenue, San Antonio, Bexar County, Texas, washing and cleaning the driver front side and rear left passenger side of the passenger compartment. Your affiant later reviewed photographs of the defendant's vehicle and contents taken by Texas Ranger Kevin Wright. Your affiant noted that dried cement splashes were later located in the rear passenger compartment of the vehicle to include the truck bed. Your affiant also observed a photograph that showed a 30-ounce Clorox bottle located within the rear passenger compartment of said vehicle. The truck bed contained only the ice chest with no other items that were observed in previous surveillance videos. On 10/10 of 24, your affiant, Sergeant M. Campbell, and Company F Texas Ranger Christopher Tamez conducted a non-custodial interview of James Valley Cotter. Here's welcome back Cotter. Here he is at his residence located at blank. Your affiant later observed text messages on Cotter's cell phone capturing the following communication. On 10:08 of 24 at 4:35, defendant texted Cotter, quote, "If you're in Bandera, can you haul ass and meet me at your house?" End quote. Quote, "I don't have much time." End quote. Cotter responded, quote, "I'll be there in 40 minutes." End quote. Defendant responded, quote, "Okay, make sure you leave all that shit in the pump house. Leave all that shit into the pump house, especially the gun." End quote. At 10:08:24 at 8:31 p.m., Cotter texted the defendant the following text: "Get over here. I won't tell anyone." End quote. This was followed by the following text from Cotter: quote, "You're my brother." End quote. These texts were sent prior to the defendant's arrest on 10/9 of 2024. On the night of 10/8 of 24, Texas Ranger Perez obtained an arrest warrant for the defendant for the offenses of the assault, family violence, family violence, Texas Penal Code Section 22.01, and unlawful restraint, Texas Penal Code Section 20.02. Your affiant learned from the Texas Ranger Perez that he had arrested the defendant in Kendall County, Texas, for his active warrants in the early morning hours of Wednesday, 10/9 of 24. See, now they know obviously what's going on, right? Like they're collecting all this data. They've got the feds working with them. They're pulling video, surveillance video from everywhere they can. They're geolocating both his truck and his phone, and they want this dude off the streets. So you'll see this all the time. You'll see this where they'll pick them up on lesser charges. They had enough to get the warrant for that because of the witness who was across the street, who saw the interaction between the two of them, wherein, plus you have the daughter's statement to her teacher. So you've got enough to get him in custody. I'm curious as to what they set his bond at. There had to have been a conversation between the prosecutor and law enforcement who were like, "Look, we're all over this dude, but this dude cannot bond out. Like, we can't have this dude out there. This dude's like unhinged. We just can't have him out there." So they keep him in custody. They must have set the bond amount high. I bet if Dizzy, I think, is probably sleeping, but if she were here, she probably would be able to look that up for us real quick. Tracy's here, but she's busy modding, so I don't know if she'll be able to do it. So your affiant learned from the Texas Ranger Perez that he had arrested the defendant in Kendall County, Texas, for his active warrants in the early morning hours of Wednesday. Your affiant learned from the Texas Ranger Perez that the defendant did not appear surprised at the time of his arrest, nor the defendant questioned why he was being arrested. Your affiant learned from Texas Ranger Perez that he conducted a custodial interview of the defendant and observed numerous lacerations and bruises on the defendant's hands and arms. Good for you, Susan. I wish you would have took his eyes out. Your affiant learned from Texas Ranger Perez that the defendant again claimed to him that Suzanne Simpson had lost her phone at the HEB on Sunday at 10/6/24. Your affiant learned from Texas Ranger Perez that the defendant appeared unconcerned about his wife being missing and showed little to no emotion. Your affiant learned from Texas Ranger Perez that the defendant invoked his right to counsel, lawyered up, after being questioned about the physical altercation that occurred between defendant and Suzanne Simpson on 10/6/24. On 10/9 of 24, the Texas Rangers and Olmos Park Police executed a search warrant at the defendant's known residence located at blank. Your affiant and Company F Texas Ranger Kevin Wright observed an indentation located on the wall at the bottom of the stairways of the residence. Your affiant and Sergeant Campbell spoke with Chelsea Deanne Simpson, the daughter of the defendant, and Suzanne Simpson. Your affiant learned from Chelsea Simpson that the damage on the wall was recent and was not previously there when she previously visited the home. Your affiant later interviewed the Simpsons housekeeper. She confirmed to your affiant that she last worked at the Simpsons residence on 10/7 of 24. So she was there at the house on the 7th. Your affiant asked to identify the type of trash bags that the Simpsons would utilize. Witness described the trash bags as white in color with red handles. Your affiant learned from the Park Public Works Division the Simpsons utilize trash service through the city and that their normal pickup is Mondays. So, I mean, obviously, that's a very common, we all use those plastic bags. I think mine are red, so like this task of trying to go through the dump to try to find this was like a massive undertaking. And I'm guessing to no avail, since we still don't know that whether or not they've located her body or her remains. Later on that afternoon, Texas Rangers executed a search warrant at the defendant's property. Your affiant learned from the Texas Rangers that they had located a ground level burn site with a burnt laptop and multiple cellular devices. Your affiant noted that on 10/8 of 24, a Bandera County Sheriff Office deputy had contacted the defendant at the property while he was standing by the active fire. There you go, dipshit. There you go. Oh, thank you, Tracy. See, Tracy and Diz, the best in the biz, the best in the business. Tracy, put up your link for your Discord channel immediately, if not sooner. It's the best Discord. If you're into true crime, if you want the facts, if you want the pleadings, if you want court dates, and if you want just always right on time notifications of us going anytime we go live, any of my boy Jay or Shannon go live on their channels, my boys Publicly Buzzed. Anytime we go live. Also, I think we now have my boy Josh Ritter, Courtroom Confidential. Whenever he goes live, you'll get notifications with those as well. And who else? Oh, I think probably Dizzy has probably put my dear friends Michael Bryant and Linda. They've got their channel going too. So it's the best. It's the best. Seeking Justice. There it is. I want to pop it up there for y'all. It really is a phenomenal. They put so much work into it, and it's a fluid situation. So they're constantly adding things. It's like it's a full-time job. I don't know how either of them have time for me or any of the other channels that they mod. They're amazing humans, and I love them so. All right. So later on the afternoon of 10/9 of 24. The Rangers executed the search warrant. Okay, we have the burn site with the burnt laptop and the multiple cellular devices, and then we find dude standing right by the active fire. What a complete psychopath. Your affiant later learned from the Texas Department of Public Safety criminal analysts that 3 cell phones recovered from the burn pit were identified as belonging to the defendant. Your affiant's training experience has taught him that criminals often engage in destruction of evidence in an effort to impair or hinder a criminal. Now, we all have to admit, hold on one second, folks. Sorry, that was my daughter. She's got her volleyball that I have to pick her up from. So the 3 cell phones recovered from the burn pit were identified as belonging to the defendant. Your affiant's training experience has taught him that criminals often engage. You don't have to be a cop to know that, right? Like you don't need training experience to know that. Wow. 100K bond for this dude for this case? No way. You're talking about the first case. You're saying his bond for this case right now is 450,000? Is that what you're telling me, Tracy? That the bond, the murder bond is $450,000? That would shock me. 100,000 for this case? You almost had to pick me up off the floor. That is outrageous. That is outrageous. Should be no bond. $450 for Cotter and $100 for this guy. All right. What is happening in the great state of Texas? Like, seriously, that's a serious question. Wow, that stuns me. That is stunning to me. I cannot. Whoa, whoa. All right, wait a second. All right, we've got. All right, make it make some sense to me. Make it make some sense. That seems crazy low. Okay, good. Mandy's placing Tracy under arrest for bad intel. All right, tell me what it is. Your affiant obtained search warrants for the call detail records for the defendant's cellular service and Suzanne Simpson's cellular service, and a search warrant for the defendant's cell phone, the iPhone 14 Plus, in his possession at the time of his arrest. The Texas Rangers later executed search warrants pursuant to the search of the defendant's cell phone. Your affiant learned from the Texas Department of Public Safety and Criminal Analyst and FBI forensic examiners that they located 2 notes within the listed device, which were titled, quote, this next life, end quote, and quote, the last will and testament, end quote, apologizing for physically assaulting Suzanne Simpson one time in August of 2023 and again on the previous Saturday night, 10/6 of 2024. Your affiant learned the defendant created these notes on 10/8 of 2024, which was after the alleged assault of Suzanne Simpson on 10/6 and his prior arrest by the Texas Rangers on 10/9 of 24. $5 million. All right, that's way more. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. That's more like it. I mean, Richard Allen's was 20 million. And you read that probable cause affidavit. Don't get me started. So 32 on 10/10 of 24, your affiant learned from Texas Ranger Perez that pursuant to a search warrant, the Texas Rangers searched the defendant's vehicle, which was identified as the Black Sierra pickup. And your affiant learned that during the vehicle search, the Texas Rangers identified stains that tested presumptively positive for blood. Affiant later learned from Bayer County Criminal Investigation Lab that the blood evidence belonged to the defendant. Surprising. Your affiant learned from Texas Ranger Perez that on 10/23 of 24, he interviewed a Frost Bank employee. This is where it gets just so sad. So sad. Who was Suzanne Simpson's personal banker? Your affiant learned from Texas Ranger Perez that blank disclosed that Suzanne Simpson made an outcry of being physically abused by the defendant, and the defendant would commonly take her cell phone away. Ranger Perez told your affiant that blank advised him that Suzanne Simpson told her that the defendant would tell their children that she had lost her phone after the defendant took it from her. Perez also told your affiant that blank told him that Suzanne Simpson advised her that if she went missing to look for her in a lake. Blank was Suzanne Simpson's personal banker over the past financial year. Your affiant notes that the Texas Ranger Perez told him that this conversation took place on or around August of 2024. Your affiant reviewed cell phone data from the defendant's cell phone, which captures a text message communication from a female identified as blank. Your affiant observed a text message from the defendant sent on September 17th of 2023. Your affiant observed the following information. Quote, I still feel bad about tonight. I never should have grabbed her phone and drove off, but she was so protective of it. My dumb ass didn't know her passcode, so I got locked out and had to bring it back. I really have no interest in looking through her phone or anybody else's. These devices are the devil, end quote. Your affiant requested the Texas Rangers interview blank at her residence in Longview, Texas. Your affiant spoke with Company B Texas Ranger Michael Golden, who conducted the interview on blank on 10/30 of 2024 at approximately 6:40 and learned the following information. Your affiant learned that blank told Texas Ranger Golden that Suzanne Simpson was aware the defendant would track her and the defendant was extremely jealous. On 10/23 of 24, Olmos Park Police and Texas Rangers conducted a subsequent search warrant at the Simpson residence. And your affiant learned from the Texas Ranger Perez that he had located one bag of Quikrete cement and the box of heavy-duty black trash bags, a gray heavy-duty trash can, and the metal firework rack. Your affiant was advised by Texas Ranger that the box of trash bags contained only 28 bags out of the 32 trash bags, 32 total trash bags. The defendant has been incarcerated since 10/9 of 2024. There are no signs of Suzanne Simpson being alive since the defendant physically assaulted her on 10/6 of 24. This has been verified by Suzanne Simpson's cell phone records, financial records, family, friends, and coworkers. Your affiant is aware that no credible tips or information were obtained from the active Texas Clear Alert, and law enforcement has been unable to locate Suzanne Simpson after a large amount of search efforts. All family, friends, and coworkers agree that the victim would never willingly abandon her children. Your affiant submits probable cause to believe the defendant intentionally and knowingly caused the death of Suzanne Clark Simpson on or about Sunday, 10/6 of 2024 in Olmos Park, Bexar County, Texas. Facts in this affidavit come from my personal observation, my training and experience, and information obtained from other officers. This affidavit is intended to show that there is sufficient probable cause for a requested warrant and does not set forth all my knowledge about this matter. So there you go. There you go. I mean, to me, it's about as solid as you can get in terms of a case. So, all right, I gotta bounce. I gotta go pick up Scout, y'all. Want to give some quick thank yous. Thank you all for joining me. What a great crowd on a Thursday night, 500 large. Please remember to share, like, subscribe. It means so much to us to build the channel, gets us out. If you're a replay crew, leave a comment. That gets the algo rolling. It gets it into the thing. This is an important story. Let's get it out there. I hadn't heard of it, but granted, my head was, in the sand being Delphi. So, Bernie, thank you, Tangling with Gina, and thank you for that generous gift. Cool lady, always. You are a cool lady. Thank you for that DD podcast membership. Jason, another always giver. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. Would a death penalty case would be a death penalty case in Texas? I would assume so. That's what he'd be fighting for sure. If it's a DP case, he'll definitely take it to trial. Thank you for that, Jason. I appreciate you. Chris K, 5 million according to news. Thank you for that intel. We appreciate you. And Baby Fishmouth, aka formerly known as Mia Beto. James Cotter, accused of stashing a legal gun for Brad Simpson, has a reduced bond from 1 million to 100,000 on Thursday. Thank you for that intel. Appreciate you, Mia. And then finally, Atru Dawson, I'm still stuck on Rich Allen. What's your advice to get beyond it? Focus on your life. Focus on your family, your people, your work. It's like, don't obsess about it. Like, just know things are in action. Things are in action. Like, nobody's letting go of that thing. There's a lot of stuff in action. A lot of stuff I'll advise you guys of. I'm in the know from that end of it. And I will, of course, keep you guys advised as to what is going on with Rick's case. So you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for hanging with me. So I gave you no notice. I know that. I'm aware of that. So thanks for coming. I think I tweeted the minute that I was going live. So you guys are amazing. Please, again, remember to share, like, subscribe. If you're in replay, comment, like, do all the liking, all the sharing, all the subscribing. To all you new folks out there, welcome. I love having you. If you're from Peter or from Andrea or Lawyer Lee, any of them, I appreciate y'all. Hope you dig the content, because remember, without you, I'm just an old man talking about a lot of cases. Talk at you probably tomorrow.